right, listener, it's time for that segment of the podcast, Headline or Hoax. Hey, listeners, join in on the fun. We appreciate you listening from the car, office, home, wherever you may be, gym, operating room. Let's play Headline or Hoax with Dr. Ben. Our pro comic and healthcare hero each have a dry erase board, and they're going to guess with you. I'm going to read 2 medical headlines that sound like authentic headlines, and you, the listener, and our guests here are going to guess which one is the true headline. Are you all ready to play?
Let's go.
Headline or Hoax?
We're ready.
Let's do it.
All right, let's scrub in for this one. All right, headline number 1 is Man beats autoimmune spine disease with laughter. Man beats autoimmune spine disease with laughter. All right, ready for headline number 2?
Yes.
All right, headline number 2. Eating chocolate before bed increases your IQ. Headline number 2. Eating chocolate before bed increases your IQ. Now, guys, think about this carefully, deliberately. Let's not get this one wrong, okay? Any debate right now about your thoughts on those 2? What do you think's the real headline?
I know which one I want to be true.
Okay. Please be. Justify my
I think everybody
diet.
knows which one I've chosen. Yeah.
I mean, neither of them started with Florida Man, so there's no direct.
I love that game, Florida Man.
There's no direct clues, so we'll see.
All right. We're going to go either with our gut or our brain. We've written down you've written down your answers?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
All right. Let's start with Dr. Kate here. 3, 2, 1. Which is the real headline? What did you pick?
I went for number 2.
Number 2?
Yeah, that's what I went with as well.
Yeah.
All right,
Yeah.
number 2. Because number 1 does not sound plausible at all, does it?
It doesn't, but I have a feeling you're gonna completely turn our worlds upside down.
All right, listener, which one did you pick? All right. Well, folks, the true headline is number 1. Man beats autoimmune spine
You're not
disease
going
with
to stop me from
laughter.
eating chocolate.
Can you believe that? He was a journalist named Norman Cousins, 1964. He's diagnosed, Dr. Kate's probably heard of this, ankylosing spondylitis. Ankylosing.
Sure have.
Him and
It's
his cousin, Dr. Father.
Yeah.
Cousin's father.
Yeah.
But he had this autoimmune disease that affects your back, and you get what's called a bamboo spine. All the inflammation starts fusing your back. And so he was diagnosed with that, and he said, you know what? I'm just going to check into a hotel and binge watch Marx Brothers and Candid Camera. And
It's funny. When I was 8 years old, I played Groucho Marx in a school play. I'm not even joking. That's a true story.
and how is your back?
Apparently,
back pain.
it's I did years of physical therapy, so it got better from other injuries. So
And he found that laughing 10 minutes gave him up to 2 hours of pain-free sleep. And then he actually went into remission from, and he took high levels of vitamin C and laughed all the time. And so he was cured of his ankylosing spondylitis.
I wonder if tickle torture can actually cure people.
It may. So
Who are you
laughter,
planning to torture?
Whoever's got the back injuries.
laughter is a good medicine. The chiropractors probably don't want us to talk about laughter curing back pain. So for a while there, I didn't know if I really believed in chiropractors, but I actually went to go see one. Now I stand corrected. I stand corrected.
There we go.
But there are health benefits to eating dark chocolate, not the milk chocolate or white chocolate, but that has
I knew.
there are some for your cardiovascular health, even your GI and that. But there wasn't a study saying it will increase your IQ. And it has to be the dark chocolate, more than 70% cocoa.
Yeah.
So the milk chocolate lovers, I'm sorry, that's not. And everything in moderation, right? You can't just diet alone on dark chocolate.
What?
Yeah.
What? No.
Are you a dietitian?
Because there is
now?
sugar.
Dark chocolate and red wine. Come on, let's do
That's
this.
right. Your cholesterol will be great. But all right, listener. Yes, this article about Norman Cousins curing his back pain autoimmune disease was actually published in 1976 in the New England Journal of Medicine in an article called Anatomy of an Illness. No magic, lots of interest and enthusiasm from the public. We're always hopeful for patient treatment. So Keep laughing, folks. If you have back pain, laugh.
I feel like the publishing standards have crept up a little bit since then.
Right. Slow news day.
I was like, what data did he have in that
Peer-
article?
was it
He was
peer
like,
reviewed?
I feel better, so it worked. Like, okay.
Not a double-blind, placebo-controlled, peer-reviewed article.
He covered his eyes so he could be double blind.
That's right. All right, folks. Dr. Ben here for the Dr. Ben Buzz Battle. One Ben Buzz Battle. See, tongue twister. B3, like the vitamin we never needed. Where a professional comic suits up for surgery to beat the clock and save the patient. All right, we're serious all day long. When you're with Dr. Ben and friends, you have to decompress, whether it's at my stand-up shows or on our podcast. Dr. Kate here. How do we have the comic dressed out here today? Why is he wearing all this garb?
Yeah, he looks pretty good.
Thank you. I'll take
Very,
it.
very surgical over there. So we have, really to protect ourselves during surgery. I think, especially orthopedic surgery is one of those ones
A lot
that,
of it's to protect the surgeon.
that the blood can go flying sometimes. Not as bad as vascular surgery, but, kind of with everything we're using, you just got to make sure that you protect yourself. And then, it's also there to protect your patient. So you've got your beautiful bouffant up there.
The cap.
Covering
Mhm.
your hair.
Keeping your hair from getting into the field.
Yep. Some people like to use surgical caps. I think people think they look way cooler in those.
Which one do you wear?
I use the bouffant.
Okay.
The surgical caps are not great for hair.
Who
There
knew?
are,
Give you
there
hat hair.
are some female-driven surgical caps out there that kind of encompass the bun and back,
Okay.
but I do not have one. So I
Some
go
people
with
wear the cloth hat.
Yep. So I just go with the bouffant.
Okay.
He's got his surgical gown there, which is
Very stylish. I think
very-
this one's Gucci.
Yeah. They all come in blue. I think.
Oh.
I don't think. I guess there are some cloth
I feel like
surgical
I've seen
gowns.
green ones on TV before.
Yeah,
Green?
yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. At Shock
Yeah, the cloth
Trauma,
ones.
they have
Shout
the
out to
green
Shock Trauma.
cloth ones.
Okay.
But these are disposable gowns. But you look really great in blue.
Thank you.
It's like a fashion show. Who are you wearing? Who are you wearing?
Yeah. and someone else actually gowns you in surgery.
You
So
don't
you
have to gown yourself.
Yeah, so I was just telling him,
yeah.
I won't go into all the details because it's a little PG-13, but I have actually witnessed one surgery in my life, and I watched the doctor get scrubbed up and everything. So yeah, I've
Okay,
seen it.
so
I've seen
you've
it
seen it.
before. A
You're an expert.
little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. As much of an expert as you can be after
And-
one viewing.
Yes.
Similarly, do you ever watch a surgery on TV or something and say, that looks easy, I could do that? Kind of like, okay.
No, never.
Have you ever thought of becoming a surgeon or
No.
any notion to?
As I'm sure we're about to find out, I think everyone is better off for me not doing this
Yeah.
particular job.
All right.
Yeah. And
And
I
surgeons
think,
need a mask too, right?
yeah. And one other thing, especially with orthopedic surgery that we don't have in the room here today, but it's also to protect us, is we use a lot of fluoroscopy in the operating room.
Now, what is that? Fluoroscopy?
So it's like a mini X-ray, so we can see what we're
Oh.
doing in surgery. I do not have X-ray vision, so
What?
I have to use a fluoroscopy machine. But that emits radiation, and so we actually wear lead gowns, which make
wow.
so you have a thyroid shield. Some are gowns, some are in two pieces with a skirt and a vest. I have the skirt and vest option.
Very fancy.
But that just kind of reduces our radiation risk over time. You don't have any on you today, but you should be wearing glasses as well.
Fair.
And
protection.
I have specific radiation glasses that are actually leaded. So they're pretty heavy, but they help protect me from cataracts.
Now, if a male is wearing the surgical skirts, is it called a kilt or is it still just a skirt?
It's still just a skirt. Yeah. So we wear that underneath our gowns, and it
Okay.
makes for a very hot and sweaty surgery.
Yeah, I can
It
It
imagine.
keeps
Yep.
a lot of heat in there.
Yep. And then you've got your mask there. Usually the ear looped ones are illegal. You have to have them tied behind your head, but
But for today, we'll
we'll give
allow
you a
it.
break today.
For this young man's life-saving surgery, we'll make the exception.
Yeah. And there was so much fuss made in 2020 about everyone having to wear masks, and I think as surgeons we're like, Okay.
Another day at the office. Another day at the
here
office.
we go again.
Well, for me, the problem was it would just make my beard sweaty all day is when I had one.
Yeah.
Like that was the worst part of it. Was it just the beard is what captures everything, not even the mask.
I cannot relate.
Yeah.
I
It
hear
got
you.
to the point where like I didn't recognize people without their masks.
Right.
They're like, who are you? We just did a surgery together. I'm like, oh, really?
Yeah. And then
All right.
you've got your gloves there, which is good. In surgery, we actually wear 2 pairs of gloves.
Okay.
And again, that's to protect yourself against needle sticks.
They actually make Kevlar gloves too.
Oh, wow.
So Kevlar surgical gloves.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
So
Full military.
Yeah.
like for kind of the high risk patients,
Interesting.
have actually Kevlar gloves that are sterile.
I would
All right.
imagine I couldn't feel anything in those things. So I'll take the risk, I guess.
Yeah, that lead is gets pretty hot in there.
Yeah, I can imagine.
And
I
then
mean, if
after,
Indiana Jones can survive a nuclear explosion in a lead-lined fridge, I can only imagine what it's like wearing a gown.
And it gets really bad on Taco Tuesdays for those afternoon cases. I'll just
Right.
leave it at that.
Yeah.
All right, let's put the mask on Dr. Seth here. We're going to give him 60 seconds.
This is gonna
Cavity
be
Sam
bad.
here has 12 ailments that Dr. Seth is going to try to cure him of in 60 seconds. Now, Dr. Kate, do you want to explain what a timeout is before surgery? We should probably do a timeout.
Yeah, we definitely should. So it's a moment after the patient has been prepped and draped, and everyone just stops moving, stops talking. So everybody is paying attention to the circulator, and you are confirming that you have the correct patient. For orthopedics, that you're operating on the correct extremity. And that you are performing the correct procedure, and that we also have images, at least for me, I make sure we have images that are the correct images in the operating room to confirm what we're planning to do. And it's a time when you're able to communicate with your circulator, with your scrub, with your anesthesia team specifically about antibiotics, about any other medications that you might require during surgery. So it's just kind of a pause to make sure that everybody's on the same page.
They kind of frown upon wrong site surgeries.
So to confirm, we have Rudolph the red-nosed surgery patient here
Okay.
today,
Timeout, yep.
along with Theodore Winters, the teddy bear.
Yes.
Okay,
He's
and
here to have-
he's doing full body surgery.
Right.
Yes.
Frog in the throat.
You didn't have to mark
butterflies in
him.
the stomach.
Yes.
All right. Going to cure him of a lot of different ailments here. And we're going to start the clock. You don't start yet. If you hear a buzz, you can move on to the next one. We're going to see how many ailments you can cure our patient in 60 seconds of his 12 ailments. So when you hear the buzzer, hey, hang on, wait for the... Okay, we have Dr. Seth here performing his 12 ailments.
Wow, really great, really good start.
There's a dexterity of a surgeon here.
I just say he's left-handed, which is throwing me off a little bit.
But and maybe he's using his non-dominant hand. Look at him go.
Yeah, wow.
He has the precision of a surgeon here.
Yeah, I did
wonder
tell
if
him he's at a bit of disadvantage.
Okay. His first...
Bit of disadvantage. Those surgical forceps.
I don't know if we can count that one.
The surgical forceps are just not as precise as what we use in the operating room, but
Right.
he's really making good progress regardless.
And listener, Dr. Seth here is playing the classic Hasbro game of removing... Wow, he has some good dexterity here. He could probably make it as a...
I feel like
as a
he's
surgeon.
blocking out the clock. I'm sure some people that would make their heart race, but he's being cool, calm, and collected.
Right. Without any music. Okay.
Oh,
All right. Let's count them up here. I think one of
We'll
them
say all but
buzzed. I will
five.
say.
We'll say all but 5. One
Okay.
was stuck in the needles, so it came out.
All right. So how many did you have?
All but 5. There's 4
Okay,
left.
but
Yeah.
how many did you cure him of there?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
wow.
I think that's an all-time record, listener.
7, y'all.
Dr.
Did I
Seth.
beat the toy?
Dr. Seth, all-time record here.
I'm coming for you, John.
We're going to have a surgery face-off
Surgery
here.
off.
Yeah, surgery off between. All right, listener. Let's thank you, Dr. Seth. You cured
Absolutely.
our patient.
Yeah, I'd let you operate on me.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. High praise. I'm sorry for you, but yeah.